First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. So today, I wanted to make a lesson going how what we're going through right now is a perfect lesson for us, for the Israelites, right? A perfect lesson for God's, because ultimately, we're going to be immortal, right? We're going to not die, and we're going to live forever. And what's a perfect lesson for that? A perfect lesson for that is to know what it feels like to die, right? Know what it feels like to be under wicked authority and wicked rulership, right? Because that's a just balance, right? To know good, you have to know evil, right? And it talks about that, how the Lord is a just balance. So this is a perfect lesson, right? But let's hit the scripts. This is, and yeah, Salakia. I was looking at them. 1 Corinthians 15 and 22, and it says, "For as in Adam all die, even so in Hamashiach shall all be made alive." And the point I wanted to bring out in this is that ultimately we all die because Adam went off, right? He ate of that knowledge, right? The so-called fruit. Because before Adam did that, he was immortal, right? Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai made us to be immortal in his image. But because of Adam, we all die now, right? We're in mortal flesh, right? And hey, it goes back all to Yahweh being a just balance, right? To know immortality, you must know first what it feels like to be immortal, to appreciate that immortality, because it's all about appreciation, right? An example in the world is how you can have a rich man, a kid, right, that was born into riches, and the level of respect and appreciation he has for money is way different as a man that has been poor his entire life and got money, right? That poor man is going to treasure his riches more than that rich man who has had it his entire life. So it's the same thing with immortality. If we were to be immortal beings from the beginning, we would not appreciate it as much as if we were mortal beings, right? It's common sense. But let's keep going. Psalms 82, 6 and 7. It says, "I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High." And who is it talking about here? It's talking about the Israelites, right? Because when you look into that word, gods, it goes into Alahayim, the same word as Genesis 1 and 1, where it talks about how the gods created the worlds and created this and that. It's not talking about the actual Father, right? The Most High, Yahweh. No, it's talking about the gods, the powers, the angels, Yahweh Shai, and the elect men who have been there since the beginning, right? But what does it say in the next verse? It says, "But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes," right? Because of Adam, because he transgressed the law that he was given. But back to the point is that this is a perfect lesson for immortal beings, and it goes to show right here that it says, "But ye shall die like men," right? It goes to show that his original intent was for us to be immortal. But being in this mortal bodies is a perfect lesson, okay? And the next verse says, "Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations." And that's talking about these heathens, right? Because when Yahweh Shai comes back on the scene, right, and he destroys America and brings the kingdom of heaven, the Israelites are going to be on top forever, and we're no longer going to die, and all nations are going to be subjected unto us, right? We know that Esau, Edom, is going to be enslaved to us for 1,000 years, and the other nations too for a certain period, but the other nations are going to be under the law, statutes, and commandments strictly, right? If they don't follow the law, they're going to get judged. And it talks about how they're going to get plagues and going to have famines if they don't follow the law, right? They're going to be subjected unto us. So let's keep going. 2 Peter 2 and 4. It says, "For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment." Now you have to have the proper context when breaking this down, right? The first point is that hell doesn't actually mean burning somewhere forever, right? That was just a construct, a lie made by the Roman Catholic Church to scare people into believing. And yeah, that's the main point. Hell is a low estate, a low condition, right? A hellish type condition played out on the earth. It's a condition, and it also can mean the grave. But let's break it down from the beginning. It says, "For if God spared not the angels that sinned," that's ultimately talking about the elect men, right? The gods of the earth, or the gods, the Alahayim, "but cast them down to hell, to a low estate," which we are in right now, "and delivered them into chains of darkness." And what are those chains of darkness? Those chains of darkness is this flesh. This flesh that is super corrupt, that constantly wants to sin, right? That constantly just wants to do whatever it wants to do, right? That's why it talks about how the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. This flesh is super weak, right? If it was up to your flesh, you would give up tomorrow. Whenever you got beat up, whenever you got in those tough predicaments, you would just give up. That's what your flesh wants to do. It wants to give up. It wants to just do what it wants, be in pleasure all the time, in comfort, right? Those are the chains of darkness. But how are we going back to the point of the lesson? That's a perfect lesson for immortal beings, okay? And the rest of the verse says to be reserved unto judgment, right? When Yahushua comes back and breaks the clouds, that's the day of judgment. But let's keep going. Proverbs 11 and 11. It says, "A false balance is abomination to the Lord Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight." Right? The Lord is a just weight. That's why evil was created. To know good, you must know first evil. Right? Good and evil is a perfect balance. Right? And that ultimately goes into how the Lord controls all things. A lot of people think that Satan, right, just goes around the world doing what he wants. Nah, the Lord is in control of everything. It talks about how the Lord maketh rich and maketh poor, and the Lord does all these things, right? But back to the point is that he's a just balance, a just weight. So for immortality, right? This is us, him giving the Israelites a perfect lesson, right? Of appreciation. And let's keep going. 1 Corinthians 3 and 18. It says, and I wanted to refer this to the topic. It says, "Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise." That goes into being that balance, right? To appreciate immortality, you must first be mortal. Same thing is saying here. To be wise, you must first be a fool. So you got to keep this in mind, that the Lord is just, right? Everything we go through is for a reason. And even though it feels like shit to be at a low estate right now, right? It feels like shit having your boss telling you what to do, right? Making money and putting it into a bag of holes, how it talks about in the scriptures, right? Getting taxed, right? Usury, right? Living in this wicked society where homosexuality is promoted, right? It's promoted to be a transformer. It's promoted to live these adulterous lifestyles, right? Murder, right? All this is promoted. But ultimately, this is a perfect lesson, right? A perfect lesson. And ultimately, we're here in the first place because we went off, right? We went off. We'd rather serve other gods, worship idols, right? But back to the point, right? It just goes to show how everything is a perfect balance. Him showing us what happens when we break the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Us being in this state right now, that right there makes us realize that we have to keep the law, right? Doing what we did in the past is not convenient to us, right? We don't want to be enslaved anymore. We don't want to be in this condition, right? It's all about appreciation, and he always brings it back, right? But let's keep going. 1 Corinthians 15. And this is talking about how we're going to receive these new bodies and we're no longer going to die. It says the second covenant. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. Right? The mortal is going to put on immortality. We are no longer going to die anymore. The Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right, and the Israelites scattered throughout other nations are no longer going to die again. And this is only for us, right? It's a beautiful thing that you woke up an Israelite today. It's a beautiful thing that you are part of this blessing, because all these other nations are not, and they're not going to be immortal. They're not going to have all the blessings that are given unto us, right? The covenant. And one thing you can promise is that all these rich elites in this world right now, they would give up all their riches and all the things they have in their life to be a poor Israelite man. Because that poor Israelite man, even if he doesn't turn back in this life, right? Even if he's a 2/3, when the kingdom of heaven is established, he is going to be immortal, and he is going to keep all the law, statutes, and commandments, right? We're going to have bodies that the law is going to be written inside of us, right? We're going to have righteous rulership, and we're going to have the power to do anything we want. So they would give up all their riches and everything they have for the opportunity we have right now. So we got to cherish that and make use of what we've been given, right? Because it talks about how the Lord is going to come back, and he's going to come back asking what he gave us with usury. And usury means tax, right? The gifts he gave us, this knowledge, he's going to come back and he's going to want more. He's going to want us to produce fruits, produce something with it, right? But, hey, let's keep reading. It says, so when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory, right? We are no longer going to die. And you have to be able to receive that. You need to have faith to even understand that, right? One point I like to bring out is that you can understand that we're under the curses right now, right? Everything that is going on right now has been prophesied in the past. And so how much more the blessings, right? You got to keep in mind the blessings too whenever you're going through some. Because that's one thing about Jake, is that we've been in such an enslaved mentality that whenever we think about something, we think about the worst possible situation. We don't think about the good. But ultimately, in the future, we're going to be immortal. So whatever we're going through right now is nothing, right? And let me get that real quick. It says, and the point is 2 Corinthians 4:17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory, right? While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Right? So constantly on a day-to-day basis, we got to keep in mind the blessings that we're going to inherit. And that ultimately this is just a big lesson a big trial of your faith, and that we have to endure to the end to receive that blessing. It talks about how the same shall be, or how does it go? Those that endure to the end, the same shall be saved, right? So I kind of went off topic, but this is just a little test, right? And it's a perfect lesson for us gods, for the Israelites. And that was the last script I had. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that out through the Spirit and just hit the points that, hey, this is just for a moment, how it talks about, for a light affliction, which is but for a moment. And ultimately, we know the reason why. And the Lord is a just balance. So with that, I want to give our praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to your elect. Shalom.